So, Elon Musk has a massive tax bill due in 2022. If you're nosy about how he owes $15 billion, we're going to explore that in this video. And I'm going to ask a few other questions around some of the shenanigans and things that he's done over the past week. Were they really intentional, or was he being really cute?
No.
So that the Tesla share price didn't get absolutely bombed by him potentially selling his shares? Let's find out. So how is it that Elon Musk owes $15 billion in taxes? Well, to answer that question, we need to go back to 2012. So in 2012, as part of his compensation scheme, he was awarded 22.8, almost 23 million shares in Tesla. Now, if you consider the price of Tesla right now, as I'm recording this, Tesla is priced at $1,064 a share. But back in 2012, Tesla wasn't trading at these enormous heights. In fact, back in 2012, Tesla was trading at around about $6 a share. So he was awarded 23 million shares in Tesla at a strike price of $6.24. Really, really cheap. Probably wasn't cheap back then, but very, very cheap right now. And when you do the calculation, his gain from those shares is around about $28 billion, just from that allotment of shares that were given to him as part of his compensation scheme. Now, it's really, really important to note that with people like Elon, he's super, super, super wealthy. And we've spoken a little bit about, taxing the wealthy on this channel before, with the likes of Gary coming onto the channel. If you've not watched any of those live sessions, maybe go and watch some of those. Very, very insightful. But people like Elon aren't necessarily cash rich. They are rich, or he is certainly rich, because most of his wealth is actually tied up in the business. What wealthy people tend to do, though, which ordinary people don't get to do, is they will leverage and borrow against the value of shares that they hold in companies. So specifically for Elon, he will basically take out loans against the value of his shares in Tesla. And because he's taking a loan out to service his day-to-day living, guess what? He pays no tax on that, because you don't pay tax on things like loans. And that really does beg the question of taxes. How do the wealthy pay taxes? So for many people, when you think about the fact that he's got a $15 billion tax bill due, well, guess what? It's about time that he pays his fair due, considering he is as wealthy as he is. Now, this tax bill isn't actually due until 2022, but he's bringing this forward for a couple of reasons. First, number one, well, there are changes coming, it seems, down the line in the tax system in America. So if he were to push this along down the line until 2022, potentially his tax bill is going to be more than the $15 billion that he would pay right now if he acted right now. And those shares, those options, have to be exercised in 2022 by August, I believe it is. So effectively, he's bringing the choice forward so that he pays less tax, albeit $15 billion is still a lot of tax. Now, I do want to talk about how much he is paying in tax from a percentage point of view, because this is really, really interesting. So because the gains are going to be regarded as income, he is going to be paying a base rate of 37% income tax on those gains. He's also going to be paying an additional 3.7 net investment tax. And because in 2012 he was living in California for a lot of the time, he's also going to be paying some California state tax at 13.3%. So that brings his effective tax bracket, or tax rate, that he's going to be paying from a percentage point of view to 54%. So when you have a look at the fact that he's had a $28 billion gain around about there, he's going to be paying in the region of $14 to $15 billion in tax. Now, if you haven't been following Elon, he did something very interesting about a week ago. So he posted this tweet on Twitter. He said, "Much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance, so I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Do you support this?" Now, 3.5 million people voted on this poll, and the result was that 57.9% of people who don't know him for Adam, apart from the fact that he's quite active on Twitter and pumps Doge and supports Doge and meme coins, said yes. And true to his word, because he also did tweet that same day that I will abide by the results of this poll, whichever way it goes. He has actually sold some of his stock today. Now, in that tweet, he mentioned something and framed the question using a couple of words that are interesting and curious to say the least. So he used the phrase unrealized gains. If you don't follow some of the financial news in the States, unrealized gains has been a term that has been thrown around quite a bit and has gained quite a lot of traction. It is something that the American government is potentially looking to introduce to tax the millionaires and billionaires of this world. Effectively, how this works is, imagine you hold Tesla stock and you're up 200%. Under normal rules and normal circumstances, you would sell down your stock, realize your gain, and then pay tax. So you realize your gain before you pay the taxes on it. This unrealized gains proposition means that if you're up 200, 300%, the government, they actually want to tax you before you even realize the gains yourself. It is an absolutely insane tax to bring in. And interestingly, he's framed this poll using that terminology to, I guess, maybe influence people's decisions because it is quite a big topic of conversation at the moment in the States. That's just my thoughts. That's just me speculating. I don't know his intentions. But it's interesting that he framed it in that way. The other thing that I found really, really curious is the fact that Elon Musk, particularly when he tweets and it has to do with Tesla stock or any tweet that could impact the price of Tesla stock, he has to have it signed off by somebody at the SEC. So he has a dedicated person who essentially has to sign off on a tweet if he's going to say anything that could potentially impact Tesla stock. Now, when this went out, we saw a bit of a dip in the Tesla share price. So it was trading at around about $1,200, $1,220 a share. The minute he sent this, it dropped quite a bit. Now, right now, it's at about $1,064. So it's still 200 bits down. But when he sent this tweet on the 6th of November, that would have gone through somebody at the SEC and they would have signed off. Which leads me to the question, was this just him sending out a poll to let people truly decide what he does? Or was he being Elon? And was this really just a game of chess the entire time? Because if you are a large shareholder and someone who has influence over a company like Elon and you're selling a large portion of your shares, what you have to do in America is fill in a Form 4 with the SEC. And that Form 4 basically details that X amount of stock has been dumped by X person. Now imagine what the markets would react like if one day an analyst just came across a Form 4 and lo and behold, Elon has dumped $5 billion worth of Tesla stock. What happens to the market? The stock price of Tesla might take a sharp dip. So did he do this to signpost that he was going to do this so that the markets didn't react? In other words, protecting Tesla shareholders? Or was he just being, I don't know, spontaneous? I would argue the former because he has known that this tax bill is due for quite some time. He knows that if he waits until 2022, he's potentially going to have to pay more in tax. So I believe that this has been a really calculated, very, very carefully orchestrated dance to signpost that, look, I'm going to be selling a lot of my Tesla stock or part of my Tesla stock. Be ready, be aware. And he's got people involved on Twitter. I think it's very, very clever. I do have a question though. I've been a higher rate taxpayer for a very long time. And I know that when I look at my pay slips, it can be quite painful looking at how much tax I pay. And I think if you're in that bracket, you're probably the same. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, looking at your pay slip and finding out how much you're paying in tax can be very, very painful. Do you think this is painful for Elon? $15 billion. What do you think?